That's right. Greetings, fellow Gothamites. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And folks, after just God knows how long, after so much anticipation, and after the Killing Joke kind of broke everyone's soul just a little bit, we finally arrived on a DC adaptation of Batman's work, of a Batman story that really lives up to the bravado and the epic qualities of The Dark Knight Returns, Part 1 and Part 2. And Dragon, of course, appropriately enough, that is going to be The Long Halloween, Part 1. All right, so Dragon, I have some really funny anecdotes at the beginning here that I think you're going to find super charming in regards to my reaction to the movie. But really quick, I want you to give your thoughts overall, just really quick, your thesis.
Yeah, I love this. There's a lot of anticipation for adapting. Essentially, the running gag has been, one of these days they got to do Long Halloween because it's the last big Batman story that we haven't adapted, and it didn't disappoint so far. It's only part one. So far, did not disappoint. I think it did right by the source material.
Could you imagine if they just dropped the ball with part 2?
I mean, that's my fear right now, Tiki. But, based on the sneak peek, I'm confident, but we'll see. Regardless, remember this is Long Halloween was a Batman comic very much in the shadow of Batman the Animated Series, and I feel serendipitously we've kind of captured that in a really cool way here. It's a marriage of, it's a marriage of that in a sense. It's kind of like the Arkham game effect with a cool mystery. It's kind of it's sort of the best way I could put it. It's kind of like a PG-13 Batman the Animated Series with kind of a mystery as our skeleton. Jury's out on if this is like in that new continuity because it has like the thick lined kind of animation style that all the other ones that you've seen so far in the new line have taken, because that's the that's speculation, because this is a take on an early Batman, because so far we've done early Superman, early Flash, so this would fit the pattern. Look, if this is like their taking continuity and like starting with an iconic Batman story, I dig it. If this is it. If not, it's still a really solid adaptation. So we'll find out if Batman reappears and he still sounds like Jensen Ackles and looks like this. If that's the case, look, at the end of the day, there may be a few bumps, and concerns, mainly with if Part 2 is going to live up to this. But yeah, I had a great time with this.
Okay, so Dragon, first of all, I do love this as well. I'm sorry we sound like fanboys, but I don't love a lot of these animated movies. You know that. And this one really struck a chord with me. So I'm gonna build to the moment, Dragon. I have a very specific moment that I think you're gonna love that I'm gonna kind of build to. But yeah, first of all, I just like one of the frustrating things about this movie is I honestly think that even beyond The Dark Knight Returns, Dragon, it frustrates me. Like, at this point, I just want a 3-hour animated epic. And my God, this would be the story to do it with.
Yep.
And unfortunately, Dragon, one of the things that I think still drags these DC animated movies down is do they have like a mandate that they can't be longer than like an hour
it's
and
like
20 minutes?
It's like a budgetary thing. It's like they want to do it longer, but they only have there's only so much money in the budget for them that they're allowed, because these movies don't exactly do.
It's frustrating, Dragon. That's one of the frustrating things watching these movies is like I almost feel like just as they're getting going, they're wrapping up. I feel that a lot of the time. I don't feel that with this though. I very much think that this is a great kind of standalone piece. I'm very much looking forward to the second entry, of course. Really hope that this and the second entry stand together as just one long 3-hour crime epic, kind of Kill Bill style. That's really what I'm hoping for this. But Dragon, I want to let's get my moment. So first of all, Dragon, holy shit! The thing that struck me right off the bat with this was the production value.
Yeah.
This is theatrical, in my opinion.
I agree.
This is really the first DC animated project that I've ever seen where I legitimately had a God, I wish I could see this on the big screen.
Someone call Fathom Events, we gotta.
Right. Like I mean, I was just blown away by Dragon. I've never seen Gotham City look like this, specifically like this.
Which is important when Gotham's a character in the story,
So building to that, Dragon, I watching the movie, I'm swept up in the backgrounds. I'm swept up in, like, oh man, they're really doing a good job of building up the characters. Obviously getting Dark Knight vibes with the Harvey and Gordon and Batman trifecta going on, and then Dragon. Then we get to the money piles, and we get to the coin flip. And we get to the hard cut. Dragon, and I quote, my reaction to this in the moment was, oh my God, this is a movie. Dragon, I know it sounds so dumb and so simple, but it was just pure joy of like, oh, this is cinema. Like, this is cinematic, man. Like, they've got me. Like, I am hooked in. This is a movie. Let's go, Yeah. So I thought you'd enjoy that little antidote, Dragon, as a starting off point. This is a movie.
Very good, Tiki. It is a movie.
All right. So, Dragon, let's get some background on this.
Yeah, not a whole lot, because obviously you can probably fill in the blanks. Okay, there's a book called The Long Halloween. We adapted it into a movie. But let me give you some context for how exactly we finally arrived at The Long Halloween. So, yeah, the Man of Tomorrow crew is on this. So, you have the same director, writer, and producer. You have Chris Palmer, Tim Sheridan, and the producer from the animated series days, basically the DCAU, Butch Lukic, who's been doing a bang-up job producing these. Like, the last three have been pretty good, and this one being the best of the bunch so far.
Nice.
So, originally, this is interesting, though. I'm going to rock you with this. So, originally, this was supposed to be the first in that line pre-pandemic. They're going to release both, Long Halloween installments first to kind of usher in the new, the new thing. And the reason for that was it was supposed to be the tie-in as well for the Batman movie coming out.
Oh man.
Yeah, not saying that was going to be like literal. I'm just saying, given that the Batman also has a lot of Long Halloween tendencies.
Which, honestly, Dragon, I've heard the Batman movie also has a lot of Scott Snyder influence, and I'm really hoping it leans more into the latter.
I mean, oh my God, I love that. I'm saying people are hoping for the Scott Snyder thing because
the only reason I'm saying that is because I really don't think you can get a better Long Halloween vibes in a live action Batman movie outside of The Dark Knight, unless you just straight up David Fincher adapted it or something.
The thing, when people say Long Halloween, traditionally what that means is it's like Batman not year one, but like not a Robin. It's like really
right.
It's like year 2 or 3. That's basically that's kind of what they're saying with the Batman. He's been Batman for a while, but not a long while.
Batman third annual quarterly earnings report.
Sure. Regardless, yeah, the whole Scott Snyder thing's coming from the whole owl card, which makes people think a lot of Court of Owls. Like, we're going to be doing Court, which, I mean, that'd be awesome. I don't know if they're going to go that far.
Oh, dude, if Court of... Yeah. I mean, speaking of which, Court of Owls, like, we're talking about... Dragon, I have 2 that I want, man. I have 2 that I want as far as animated projects. A serious one and a silly one, all right?
All right.
Court of Owls is the serious one. I would love to see a Court of Owls adaptation.
Yeah, I want to see one done right, but yeah.
Right, of course. And then the silly one, Dragon. The silly one, I don't know. I would still love to see like a totally tongue-in-cheek all-star Batman and Robin that's just making fun of the Frank Miller style.
Oh God, I mean, look, that would be the last Frank Miller Batman one they haven't adapted.
I'm just saying, man. Like you could just go all out on just totally make it a Frank Miller parody. It doesn't have to be a word-by-word adaptation of the book.
Right.
Anyway,
I mean, it'd be interesting, but just given that we've shown love to Frank Miller, I don't know how they, given the Frank Miller still around, I don't know how that would
it'd
go
be
by.
a roast, though.
I know it'd be a roast, but I don't know, I don't know if that would fly at DC. I don't know.
All right, fair enough.
I mean, it's a nice thought, though. I'm just saying, I don't know if how practical it'll be. And unfortunately, the thing, too, with the Court of Owls is that they did that stupid Batman versus Robin when they did the crappy in-continuity Batman movies, and basically that was their stab at Court of Owls, and it's...
Well, I'm saying actually adapt
I know.
the book, Dragon.
I'm with you. I want that, too. All right. Okay, so as I said, so again, it's supposed to be kind of somewhat of a spiritual tie-in to the Batman. Basically, the pandemic screwed all that up, and oddly enough, they moved Long Halloween to this year, and the Batman got moved anyway, so it's still not gonna. So it's a shame how that works out. So Sheridan's goal with this was to do as close an adaptation as possible, almost more so than any of the other Batman works. I don't know if we go quite the Dark Knight Returns levels, but this is as close as you're gonna get. Though this is pretty good. I mean, this but honestly, the two-parters with the Batman movies have so far been the best adaptations we've gotten. And I like year one, but I'm just saying, so far, our adaptations of those stories have been right on the money. So so this the two-part split allows them to explore things very thoroughly. For example, like basically the main correlating theme within our story here is probably going to bleed in the second one as well. Is we're looking at four families: the Wayne family, the Gordon family, the Dent family, and the Falcone family. Those are the four families that we're focusing on.
And kind of like how they just bleed into each other, and how it's like, oh my God, there's so many deep connections,
So certainly, and the last somber little bit of context I kind of have to get in there. I wish I didn't have to, but I do.
Oh man, yeah.
This was the last role for
Dragon. I just found out about this.
Yeah, well, if you watch
in my research in between the last thing we did.
Yeah, Naya. I truly hope I'm not butchering her name. Naya Rivera.
Yeah, that sounds right. So
yeah, she played Catwoman. She did an excellent job as it too, by the way, at doing the voice Catwoman. She tragically died very, very young, and she died very heroically. I just want to get that in there. She died. The word is, I mean, they can't really confirm it because it was kind of a confluence of events, but the word is she saved her 4-year-old son from drowning. They were on a boat, and
my God.
it was like her last action. Like the idea is they found her kind of washed up, I guess, and the idea is her son was found in a boat. So the idea is the assumption is that she made sure her son was in the boat before she drowned. So it was a very heroic kind of action by a mother by her child. So it's a terrible way to go. But my God, you put some good in the world in those last few seconds. Very admirable, just to get it in there. All right. Okay. So all that said, let's break down Long Halloween Part 1.
All right. So it's Halloween night. The Gordons are getting ready to go trick or treating.
Well, first off, we have the credits.
Okay, right, sure. I'm sorry. I just really love the Gordons.
I know. I love that too. I love that too.
I just want to jump right into it. Like the Gordons are getting ready to go trick or treating. Nothing could possibly interrupt this night, right?
Right. So, how doomed.
Okay.
So we have
the opening credits. I mean, you want to talk cinematic? It very much feels like the type of opening credits that David Fincher would play around with.
Yeah, and again, I love that we're doing like a little nod to the source material too. Like we're showing, like they've kind of broken away from doing the opening credits on the DC. Sometimes they do them, sometimes they don't, and they brought them back in style, like using them for both both an aesthetic thing of like, hey, here's what the comic looks like compared to what we're gonna do here, and as well, like we're intermittently showing some clips to set the tone and kind of the feel of the world, where it's like we're showing. See, what they did, Tiki, is there was a lead up to Halloween in the book, and that would have taken too much time. And they made a really smart choice. Okay, we're going to put that into kind of our opening credits, but we're going to start off with the iconic part of the book, which essentially is, instead of at a wedding, it's like at a business meeting where you have I Believe in Gotham City, which is a very powerful kind of mission statement for the whole story. And if I'm a betting man, I'm just going to assume, because the two big lines of the book are I believe in Gotham City and I believe in Harvey Dent. And I'm assuming part 2 would be the I Believe in Harvey Dent section. Possibly, yeah. And I love when he's looking in the reflection, like looking through the building. See, a lot of people the main criticism of the movie, and it's not like a big criticism, it's more like a diehard fans of the book criticism, is that the Tim Sale style. And folks, Tim Sale style, if you've ever seen it, is really hard to bring into animation. Okay, it's really hard.
I don't mind it.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
like
I
it,
think I
honestly.
know. I think they did absolutely. I think they did very right by it in the animation. I think there's enough of
Yeah,
it
I
there that
agree. Like, I mean, keep in mind, I'm not someone who's like, an art expert or anything, so it's like, I don't like, or, like knows the fine end of animation, but like just visually, just aesthetically, I thought it was Dragon. I like it because it's different,
yeah.
At the end of the day, that's the very simple reasoning
I,
for me.
yeah, I think they kept it stylized in the spirit of Tim Sale, but they
Uh-huh.
made it practical. So because Tim Sale's art's like, again, it's a work of art. It's an artwork where it's exaggerated because it can be, because it's a comic. You don't have to worry about realistic proportions.
Right,
And
yeah.
here, we basically, I just love like the first shot for me where I've just felt the Tim Sale of it all was when he's looking out the window. You see the eyes, and it's like, even though we're not going the full Sale, all of, like the deep shadows and everything, it's like you can see in Bruce Wayne's eyes. Oh, those are Tim Sale eyes. I like that. Yeah. So again,
The first time I got the vibe was with the scale of Harvey.
yeah. I mean, the big one is the Joker, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, the point being, the opening credits set the tone well. It's kind of you're setting up our triad going up against the mob and the mob corruption in Gotham. So Gotham as the character in the open areas, and that brings us to, we're basically going to break this down by the holidays, kids. We're gonna start with Halloween. So yes, the Gordon family is trying to go trick or treating, and that is
So
unfortunately due to the
Barbara Gordon has one scene in this movie, but I thought it was a really impactful scene.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, she comes back New Year's too, but brief. This is like
Oh,
the
you're
big
right.
scene
You're
for
right.
her.
Very briefly, yeah.
Yeah, she but yeah, I you know me. So we had Billy Burke, who is an actor I'm not familiar with. I think he did an excellent job with this take on Gordon, the struggling family man, which is it's in the
It kind
book.
of reminds me of like a way more grounded take on the Harley Quinn version of Gordon, where it's
Yeah.
like he seems like a family man who's like like barely struggling to get by, but unlike the Harley Quinn version, he's actually keeping it together for the sake of his
Yeah, this
family.
is him way before he started to touch the drink in Harley Quinn.
Right,
Yeah.
right, exactly. Like you could see him going down that road and getting to that point.
Oh yeah, so this was a really strong addition, though. This Halloween, this trick or treating scene interrupt us.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, because Barbara,
And just generally speaking, Drag, I want to speak to the fact that I think this is a fantastic adaptation because it doesn't go beat by beat at all. It is a matter of fact, I think in some ways it refines the
Yeah,
story
well,
that
Tiki,
was already there.
I should have mentioned this in the opening. Yeah, they changed some big plot points in the mystery in this, so they
Yeah,
keep it a
yeah.
surprise, which was a really clever.
And
So
they really fine-tuned the dialogue as well. They took out a lot of just like, hey, get it? It's a Scorsese reference.
yeah, right. I think you mean Coppola, but yeah,
What?
I think you mean Coppola. Francis Ford. Oh, Coppola. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, right, Coppola. Yeah, I'm sorry.
There
You're
is still
right.
a lot of Godfather in this, but still, though, you're right. They did strip out a lot of that.
Yeah, my bad. I don't know why my mind went to Scorsese.
But I mean, yeah, it's adding like young Barbara Gordon. And again, look, I know like if people really want to look with a fine tooth, it's like, yeah, it doesn't make sense. Like if you make this like right after year one, but that's the thing. They're kind of
We don't care.
exactly.
We don't care.
Because I
We
love this
don't
moment.
care.
Yeah, because I
I
love
will
this moment.
chant it at this point.
Okay. All right.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But seriously, I just love this. I'll take it gladly because I just love this moment of the disappointment. Like you see Gordon as a good father. He's like kind of some rambunctious kids, and he's like giving his badge.
I
To his
just love the
daughter.
line, the whole, like the mother saying, like the whole city's depending on him. Well, I was depending on him too.
God, it rips your heart out, and I love it.
Yeah.
And again, that's the angle of the movie, though, where it's these three men trying to honor or start their respective families by making Gotham safer. And again, in this dividing of three men, you're again, Batman's trying to do right by his parents, Harvey Dent's trying to start a family, and Gordon's trying to hold on to his family.
Totally. All right. So meanwhile, as that pleasant evening is going down, Dragon, Johnny Vitti is having another very pleasant evening. He's getting home. He's slipping into his bathrobe, having a nice bath, Dragon. It's like, honestly, you gotta envy the guy. It's the simple things in life, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I always remember Johnny Vitti very memorably because in year one, he was the guy who fought with Gordon on the bridge with James Jr. That's the big thing. He tried to kill Gordon's son. It's a huge. So we kind of start off like the Godfather wedding, but we nixed that. But it's a very appropriate note that like we start the movie with he dies. We have the holiday iconic moment of like the jack-o'-lantern, the gun, and the bloody
I
water.
love how the silencer, I feel like, it's been a while since I've read the comic, but I feel like they make the silencer on the gun, the baby nipple, the baby bottle nipple, like even like a little bit more iconic.
Yeah,
like, they really zero in on it.
It was always, again, the crime scene idea, like the signature of a killer, was always the fascinating kind of visual throughout the story. Where again we end like that's kind of we bookmark every chapter. It's like the holiday killer struck, and he leaves the gun with the broken baby bottle nipple now.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
There's the gun, the body, and then the little totem of the holiday, which in this case, jack-o'-lantern.
By the way, that's one of the things I like about this movie, Drake. Let's talk about it in terms of Batman.
Yes, I really want to talk about Batman.
You know what I'm getting at.
Yes.
So this movie is basically Batman learning how to be a detective, the movie.
Which is such a great idea. And again, it plays on the idea. It's a twofold thing, which also lends a lot of credence to everyone thinking, myself included, that again, we're like the way we're introducing a younger Batman, this new kind of maybe continuity.
Dare I say, Dragon? Dare I say it? Dare I use the words?
What?
A young Bruce Wayne.
Yes.
Oh, God, that's a callback.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Okay,
wow.
But seriously, though.
I feel old for how dated of a callback that is.
Well, it's like going back to 2017. It's not that old a callback. Since the last time we used it.
2017 was 4 years ago, Dragon.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways.
All right, okay. So, where that goes again. All right, yes. So yeah, it's just this idea of like, so it's an early years Batman, and this is like a modern idea we've done with the stuff that's going to kind of inform the Pattinson Batman, which is Batman Earth 1 was one of the big stories that introduced the idea of, okay, we're doing a young Batman who is not a detective yet, and we're going to call that out in our story. So we're kind of taking that recent idea and applying it to a story that could, like, how can we make Long Halloween more interesting? Well, wouldn't it be more interesting if Batman's already a great detective, why is it taking him a year to solve this case? Well, here's why. It's his first big case that requires him to be a detective, and it's a tricky killer. That's why. That makes great sense to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I love that. It's a very Nolan idea, which the Nolan Batman was not exactly the world's greatest detective, and, had his fingerprints moment, but it was not it was not the world's greatest yet. And again, it's a great mix. It's a great idea, and I love the idea of leaning into that. And I want to talk about our Batman voice. This has been kind of a fan campaign thing, and it finally came true. Jensen Ackles as Batman. He was Red Hood in Under the Red Hood, and he did a great job there as the very disgruntled Jason Todd. This was long desired by fans because people loved him in Supernatural, and he's perfect for Batman, especially a younger Batman in his early years. He's flawless for it, I felt. You put him in live action or not, he's great as the voice. I love him in this. Yeah, someone we should really talk about, though. We got to talk about Alfred.
Okay, so Dragon, our long-running tradition of there's never been a bad Alfred continues. Am I right?
Yes. Okay. Now this is a special Alfred. I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
Okay. So they brought back kind of one of the obscure animated Alfreds, who was always a kind of an underrated Alfred. Again, there's never been a bad Alfred. He was also good, but like no one ever talks about him because all the love goes to Ephraim Zimbalist Jr., who was also, of course, he's the top tier. But it's Alistair Duncan.
And now, don't tell me he's the original animated series Batman.
No, that's Clive Revel. No.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Alistair Duncan was, appropriate enough namesake-wise, he was the Alfred in the Batman animated show from 2004.
Oh, okay.
And again, underrated Batman show, and he was a great Alfred in that show. And they brought him back like here and there, and like very, very few side projects. So giving him like a big Alfred role here, and the fact that Alfred is not in the first half of the book, and the fact that we put him here, all these Alfred scenes are added, and they're really wonderful.
I mean, Dragon, like it's really just like kind of with the character of Alfred Pennyworth. He's such an enigma in fiction, where it's like. You could have a bad Batman. You could have a bad Catwoman. You could have a bad Harvey Dent.
Never a bad Alfred.
You cannot have a bad
Even an
Alfred.
all-star Batman.
I still challenge the audience to find me a bad Alfred. I challenge you, sirs.
Yep, look at that Pennyworth show. He's the main compelling reason to watch the show. I mean, he's good in that role.
You know what? Like, do you think maybe like in the old school serials or something, there's an Alfred where it's like, hey, he's just okay. He's kind of just there.
I think if Alfred's even in the old school serials, but
right. I might have to look into the old school serials specifically for that reason.
Yeah. So let's
Anyway.
see. What was I? Because Bruce Wayne, I don't think Bruce Wayne's really in that too. That's why it makes me think there's no Alfred. But
That would make sense, yeah.
okay, where was I? All right. So the thing with Alfred, I love the mundane thing. Like Alfred's, he's dealing with trick or treaters or the lack of trick or treaters at the ominous Wayne Manor, and he makes Bruce Halloween cookies. I love that. He made him the little Halloween cookies when he's in the Batcave. It's awesome.
I also love how he's like just hopeful for trick or treaters.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I love it. And of course, we have like some great gags too, like the whole, some great Alfred sass too. The whole like he mocks, Batman's like Halloween. It's a ridiculous holiday, and we have like, ah, yes, right, wearing costumes and striking fear and all that, completely ridiculous. And also it's implied here, and I love this implication. The bat exit was originated by Alfred.
Oh yeah, right. You're right.
Remember, because like I hate it when he does that, and he keeps doing that to people. It's awesome. So anyway, so speaking of bad exits, let's talk about the probably, for at least for me, the most iconic scene from Long Halloween. That of course has permeated some of the best Batman works, the rooftop scene.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like Dragon. It's kind of crazy how just how much The Dark Knight was able to kind of just pick and choose from this book and was able to craft its own story. I mean, it just kind of makes that movie even more of a masterpiece. But yeah, the rooftop scene, what more is there to say? It's iconic.
Yeah, just, the three men, and again, basically the big setup for both parts in the story and everything is you have three men, different ends of the spectrum of law, and of course, I want to say, and hopefully part two will deliver on this.
Hey, Dragon, there was an Alfred in the Batman serial.
He's probably good.
I want to look up and see.
All right, anyway.
I really do. I really want to make a point of it.
Don't do it now. We'll do it later.
I know, obviously not now, but...
Okay, so we're teeing up for part two, particularly is it's the arc of Batman and Harvey Dent trading sides and like who's really kind of the outskirts of the law here, which is it's really interesting. Let's see. So speaking of Harvey Dent, let's talk about the whole Harvey Gilda thing.
Oh man, it's hard hitting, dude.
Yeah, so Josh Duhamel plays Harvey Dent. He's the guy from Jupiter's Legacy, by the way. He's the main kind of Superman kind of figure in that. And so it's the weirdest thing about
superhero shows do we need to have where it's like, oh, he's the super Hitman type figure.
Yeah, well, it's not the best of the bunch, clearly, but anyway. Point being, Josh Duhamel is a nice guy.
Think, Mark.
That's what we need. But yeah, what the trippy thing about this movie is, just given the fact we have Jensen Ackles, one half of Supernatural playing Batman.
Oh God, what?
The fact that Josh Duhamel sounds identical to Jared Padalecki, who voices, who plays Sam Winchester.
Oh dear.
That's the heady thing. So it's pretty much like it just sounds identical. It's like we got the brothers Supernatural, and he'd be perfect for Harvey Dent too, which is kind of crazy. Anyway, but yeah, so what's really clever about this movie, Tiki, overall, with Harvey and Gilda, is that we highlight subtly the dysfunctions of the relationship and the personalities. Where Gilda does not have, it seems like Gilda can't have kids, and she's depressed about it. Like, it seems like she's suffering from depression, and Harvey Dent very much so.
I mean, it's very real world, like complicated relationship stuff for sure. Like, it really, one of my favorite scenes in the movie Dragon is when we cut between the fight with Gordon and Barbara and the fight with Gilda and Harvey.
Yeah, that was good.
Like, first of all, really good editing. Like I said, I feel like as far as pacing and tone and just everything, this whole movie just feels more theatrical than a lot of the other animated things we've gotten.
Yeah, speaking of relationships, we should speak of Catwoman. So her role in the story.
I mean, Catwoman is damn good in this movie, man. She really is, and I'm not generally a Catwoman guy.
I know, right? Yeah, the Catwoman one I just want to highlight. I love that we of the alterations we made with the style. A smart choice that we made is we gave her a better costume than she has in long Halloween. We went with something that's kind of a nod to Batman the Animated Series, which I really dug.
Yeah, no tail.
Yeah, no tail. Yeah, no tail, no purple. Get up. None of that. Yeah, the tail was always the weird thing. But anyway, so yeah, the rooftop chase in the rain was really great. Classic Batman, Catwoman thing. Them running around rooftops. But what's really cool though is we call the early years of Batman out with like the equip. She calls out, "Hey, your equipment's weighing you down." Very kind of double entendre. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, but also practical plot purpose, where she's taking him because again, he's not a detective. He wouldn't have found it on his own at this point. She takes him to Falcone's warehouse, where he's got giant piles of money, that he's trying to launder through Wayne Enterprises that Bruce Wayne's shutting them down for.
And like I said, Dragon, this is my absolute favorite scene in the movie. I love the moral dilemma here.
Mm-hmm.
And that goddamn coin flip, man.
It is a brilliant idea to me. I've never seen it before. I love the idea that we've tied the coin to Batman. Where the money burn, and I love this. If you think about it in the grand course of the story here, the money burn is the domino that creates Two-Face. Because again, this causes the house to blow up. This causes them to become unraveled, and God knows what's going to happen in part. Well, we know somewhat what's going to happen in part 2, but I think I put it this way, Tig. I think a lot of surprises are coming in part 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like Harvey Dent. He's pulls a very Batman, very vigilante act with lighting the match and setting the money on fire. And again, it's kind of the question is, can you manage duality like Batman can? And Batman has to evolve in this story in becoming a detective and trying to kind of balance both the light and the dark. Which Harvey Dent, I'm getting a sense, call me crazy, is going to have trouble with that. All right, so we bomb. So in retaliation for the money, again, the domino happens. Falcone has Dent's home bombed, which again, we end each chapter very fittingly, and either with a bang or with a bang of a gun or a bang of a house, which is quite fitting.
All right, so Thanksgiving we have the bit in Chinatown, which I gotta admit, it was a little style over substance.
Okay,
this is being completely honest.
This is like, if I had to isolate it to one part, Tiki, this is like the change that stands out most from the book and things. Where let me explain. It's not complicated. It's just that
to me, it was kind of just like, ooh, Batman's fighting ninjas.
Yeah, that's the thing. This was the most mandated thing.
Right.
They wanted to get more action.
All right, movie. All right, you can have your fun with the ninjas. Let's move along.
I can live with it, and it's earned. It's like everything else is just so on par. It's like, yeah, they want action. It's cool. I mean, they're not gonna knock it. And here's what the main thing that saves it for me is the fact that we're exploring Chinatown. We're kind of setting it there.
For sure.
See, here's the thing. So in the book, it was Mickey Sullivan. It was the Irish mob. And that was like Harvey Dent going undercover and everything after the house was blown. Harvey Dent faked his death, and the masqueraded as this guy, which obviously if we don't have Harvey Dent in the house when it blows up or closer and making that a big mystery, then we can't do that. And they went with Mickey Chen to do the Chinese triad, which I like to think story-wise kind of echoes our good guy triad of 3. The whole San Ho Hui. It's a 3-run kind of like Chinese mafia.
Yes.
I mean, look, all I'm saying is that it gets us. It's another faction of the mob.
We know nothing about them. That's my big drawback.
No, you're not wrong. So at the end of the day, it's like when I think about it, it's like my brother was like, why are we afraid of doing the Irish mob? Is that a thing now? It's going across to me. But by the same token, it's like, well, it's still like a new faction of mob, and I mean, it is kind of a reference to the Dark Knight, the whole Lao and the whole Chinese mob is referenced. So I mean, it's a mandated action scene. Also gives us the Batmobile, which was not in the book, which is kind of cool. Like I need bulletproof glass, Alfred. It's fine. It's okay. It's just kind of weird, like Mickey Chen instead of like it's a very Irish first name. I don't know.
All right, but then I think the Thanksgiving stuff that's the argument stuff, right?
Yeah, we saved the Falcones for the Thanksgiving thing. That's where all the really great Falcone stuff. So everyone's celebrating Thanksgiving very differently, which I find really, again, with the whole 4 families idea of the movie. So let's talk Carmine Falcone and Alberto. So Titus Welliver plays Carmine. He's from Bosch. Remember the guy in Mando season 2 was doing
Dragon? I know who Titus Welliver is.
Excellent. Love him.
He was the smoke monster in Lost. I'm not even kidding.
Right. I forgot. Oh, well, yeah. So Titus Wells, he's a really great actor. I love his show. Bosch, where he's the star. He's great in that. So that's his big role. Anyway, so perfect casting. I love the very it's almost like that bit from Kidding. Remember in Kidding, the whole like I'm Italian, we do spaghetti, everyone else does turkey. So I love the very Italian Thanksgiving.
Yeah, sure.
So it's so we have. Just,
it makes sense. Like if I was Italian like that, I'd eat spaghetti for Thanksgiving. I wish I could eat spaghetti for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, hey, it's a cool idea. I'd approve of that. Anyway, so he has a conversation with
I actually had spaghetti for dinner, believe it or not.
Small world.
I know, right? Ooh.
So he has a conversation with his son, Alberto. Now, Alberto is played by Jack Quaid from The Boys. Yeah.
The Boys crossover here.
A little bit. Also, Jensen Ackles is going to be in The Boys season 3, so it'll be more.
Uh-huh.
So Alberto is the dynamic between the father and son here is it's like an inverse of Vito and Michael Corleone from The Godfather to me, where instead of like the fatherly love and the respect and like I wanted to keep you away from this, it's like I wanted to keep you away from this because I sense weakness in you, as in you're not cut out for this. Versus I want to protect you. It's like I protect you because you are my son, but not because I like you.
Yeah, the fact that he basically holds him being a burden over his head is it's pretty, that's got to be traumatizing.
Yeah, and it's like, hey, I sent you to Oxford and you learned about business, but you are not cut out for business. That's a big insult. Like, you sent me away all my life and sent me to a business school and I can't be part of the family business? What gives?
Right, yeah.
And of course, I just love how tense the scene is too, where basically Alberto was feeling his oats. He sent Gilda Dent like some flowers as like a mafia warning. And Carmine, and again, he didn't necessarily do anything wrong here, but it's like the fact that you think you speak for this family. He grabs him by the throat, he's strangling his son on Thanksgiving.
I mean, it is a very amateur move that he pulls.
It is, Yeah, it is like.
I sent flowers. I sent it in the family name. I mean, how could they possibly take that except, we care about you. Get well soon, Harv.
Yeah, so I just love just the overstep. I just love like how angry he is, and just the whole he's alive because I allow.
Dragon, honestly, I would have that same if I were in Carmine's position, I would have that same reaction. I would be pissed. It's a dumb move.
Tiki, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be glum, but I'm so happy with how Carmine Falcone was represented in this film, because just everything came to. He was very menacing. He wasn't just like a Vito Corleone. There was a lot of power there. I thought he was really. These scenes like this really made him. And also, so we have the motive for Alberto clearly, as we established in scenes like this, where you'll notice, and I love Tiki. That's the great thing about this movie, especially on the rewatch. You're always putting the clues together, and everyone's a suspect. So you look at. After this scene, there's the dinner table. We're doing the toast and everything, and there was a missing seat at the table. Now, clearly, they didn't make that for Johnny Viti, who's dead, but Alberto probably left, ergo, suspect. Missing seat at the table. Also symbolic of he's missing a seat at the table. Anyway. So. All right, so that's really, all that's really cool. But anyway, so how everyone else is spending Thanksgiving? Why don't you tell us?
Well, that's the Gordon stuff, right? The Gordon and Dent stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we already kind of went over this, Dragon. Let's not kind of drag our feet through it again. It's just really compelling. Like Gilda and Harvey are arguing about having a baby. Meanwhile, Barbara and Gordon are arguing about the toll that his life and career is taking on the family. I don't have much else to say about it that I haven't already said. I just think it's pretty compelling stuff. Just I love the way that it's edited together.
Right. No, Tiki, that's great. I'm sorry. I gonna correct you. I was like that's actually New Year's, but that's fine.
God damn it! Are you serious?
Yeah, seriously. That whole point. That's all New Year's.
Oh wow. Oh God. I'm sorry, Dragon.
Okay, let me just put it this way. My main point I'm saying with all of our Thanksgiving for all the other three to combine into one here is the fact that they're all deprived of their Thanksgiving because of the Falcones who are living it up for their Thanksgiving. Where, of course, my favorite bit being Gordon loves the turkey with when they're interrogating Mickey Chen, who blew up the house. It's a great bit of like I love turkey with all the trimmings, and I'm not going to be able to have that. And he's deprived of the Thanksgiving meal with his family because he gets leftovers. And Harvey Dent, he's having kind of the breakdown where we tease Big Bad Harv as he's like outside of Falcone's Falcone's place, and Gordon has to rein him in and gives him the gun to protect his family. And Batman, he leaves his Thanksgiving to take pity on Solomon Grundy. What did you think of Solomon Grundy, by the way?
I mean, I really liked him. He's very. I feel like it's very accurate to the book. I feel like it's one of the most. It's one of the most accurate, like, beat by beat representations of what was in the book, and I like it for that.
Absolutely, and I always love like the choice of Solomon Grundy being he's a zombified mobster, so it fits that he would be in the in the mob story,
Right, yeah.
And of course, really cute that Batman gave him a little Thanksgiving dinner for his trouble. Really cute.
Uh-huh.
All right, then of course we end with Mickey Chen and his buddies who basically got off scot-free, and basically again, very impressively, we have a botch. Again, seeing Batman stumble is a very fascinating thing. He was intimidating in that interrogation scene, but he did not get anywhere with Mickey Chen.
No.
And Gordon calls him out on this. You got a lot to learn about detective work. So because of that, Mickey Chen got off scot-free, but he is killed. He and his cronies are killed by the Holiday Killer, and with the cornucopia as a little trophy. So that brings us, Tiki. It's Christmas time. It's here.
It's Christmas! Hooray! Dragon, it's just like it's almost as if it's July and we have some sort of annual thing that we do coming up, right?
Yeah, crazy, right? Like we're mixing holidays here, like it's some sort of long Halloween secretly. Anyway, so we have a brief mention. This is a brief but memorable chapter in our story here, especially in kind of our for holiday adaptation in part 1 here. It's a lot of setup for the big point of part 2. The freaks are polluting the organized crime world, which Sal Maroni calls out the Batman in this section. Like things were normal before you came in. Then you invited all the freaks, which are kind of in our turf now. Like 1 or 2 was one thing, but now they're everywhere.
Uh-huh.
So this one's pretty simple. So we go to Arkham Asylum. That's where we have the big scene with Calendar Man.
Oh, God. Oh, fucking hell.
Right? How cool is Calendar Man?
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Dragon Calendar Man is amazing in this movie. Like a one-scene wonder if there ever was one, right?
Yep. There's 1, maybe 2 scenes tops in the story, which he might be coming back in the next part. Who knows? But, so That's all we need. And it's just for Dave DeSmulchin plays Calendar Man. Of course, he was Schiff Thomas from The Dark Knight. Remember that guy?
Uh-huh.
He was an Ant-Man, Gotham, and he's the Polka Dot Man, the Suicide Squad movie. Love Dave DeSmulchin. He's great. Yeah, he killed this role as like the Hannibal Lecter. He played the Hannibal Lecter-esque quality so well.
Oh yeah.
And
I mean, just the soft spokenness. Oh man, it really got under my skin, Dragon. It was great.
See, I love that we compensated for something here where they made the choice where, okay, we're not going to put Calendar Man in all white because it's a little much. But what we're going to do, because that's a creepy visual, what we are going to do is make him sound creepy to compensate. Now, they successfully did that. As he's laying out the suspects and, of course, the big rift within our triad, and he's the one who throws out the thing that they're ignoring, that, Harvey Dent is also a very likely suspect here.
Uh-huh.
And you guys know he's starting to come unraveled. You've seen his marriage. You've seen him like outside the Roman, in a hospital gown outside of his place. It ain't looking good for Harvey. And here's the crazy thing on watching this movie that I'm pretty sure it's an ad, not in the book. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of there, but they made it sing here, Tiki. I love it. It's the idea that we have that moment of like, what a joke, where he says, basically, he hints at the Joker knows, and he's out. And Batman's realization of, oh my God. And he just rushes to the Joker's cell, and he just finds the Joker has escaped, and he's gonna cause some mischief here. And what I'm getting at is the idea that Calendar Man is ticked off that there is a holiday killer stealing his shtick. So he has played to the Joker's ego, telling him about the holiday killer. So he feels the same way. And Joker is doing Calendar Man's bidding. That's brilliant.
I mean, you're looking at it on a way different level than I am, Dragon. Yeah, it's great. It's great. I wasn't really looking at the deep psychology of it, but
But I mean, it's cool though. It's like Counterman's doing so much without in like a one scene. You know, he's doing all the things.
He is.
Yeah, he's taking.
I mean, for me, it kind of just basically came down to like, oh, that's a cool voice.
I mean, either way, it's awesome. But
yeah.
I'm just saying, I love it. Yeah, we got so much out of that one scene with Calendar Man. Given the fact that the whole thing's like about calendar holidays, giving them like a scene with that like domino effect is really cool.
Of course.
So, what do you think about the Joker?
I gotta be honest, I don't really think we need the Joker in this movie, question mark.
Well, that's the funny thing. You know, think about this. It's kind of like a reverse Dark Knight Returns, where Dark Knight Returns starts off in both part one, part two, any way you want to slice just that story. You start off with Two-Face as your softball. And you have the Joker as like, oh my God, we built up to the big villain. And in Long Halloween, we reversed that. So we're getting Joker out of the way so we can focus on Two-Face later.
I guess it was that way in the books, right?
Yeah. Like Joker has a small role in Long Halloween. He's only there.
Yeah, so I guess it doesn't really matter. I guess this is his time to shine. I mean, like, I don't know. Like, honestly, for me in animation, I find the Joker to be one of the less interesting Batman villains, just generally, just because we've seen so much of him.
Well, I mean, I just like that if we're cutting our story in half, that we end on a climax.
No, I hear what you're saying about having him be the main focus of this one, and then having it build up to Harvey in the next one. That's all fine. Yeah. That's all good. I hear what you're saying. I don't know, Dragon. I'm just kind of sick of the Joker in animation. That's there's really
just
nothing
finished watching Batman
about
the
that.
animated
It's just kind
series.
of a me thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, you did finish like a whole binge of the animated series over a period of time with a lot of Jokers. So.
I mean, yes, that definitely has something to do with it. Probably, you're not wrong there.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Something that had not a lot with the Joker here, because he shows up and he's pretty cool. Again, with the Tim Sale look, he's the most exaggerated. Like, I think we found a balance because he had like a giant chin in the book, and I feel like we gave him like a big chin with the teeth, and we gave him like kind of that elongated shoulder out, kind of like a V shape. I don't know, it's like kind of a cartoony V shape. I don't know. I liked it. Of course, we brought back Troy Baker doing a very Mark Hamill Joker, which was neat. The thing I like, and it's kind of creepier the way we did it here, is that the idea is that he's breaking into people's houses with the name Dent, trying to find Harvey Dent's house, the whole Santa clown thing, and just the fact that we kind of like Alfred just says that it's the third house, all named Dent. It's all good. What he did to those people, we didn't even see those folks, so they're probably dead. It's just kind of horrifying, and he's basically interrogating our three suspects, trying to find out who Holiday is, and it's pretty neat. We have like this great stairwell payoff with Falcone's bodyguard. We kind of set up, he's throwing a guy to his death, and at Joker having a little bit of an action sequence. The point being, we kill the bodyguard with the snow globe.
Yep.
At the end there. So now Joker's a suspect because it's been framed ambiguously, but we know better. Okay, that brings us to kind of our finale.
All right, so yeah, the yacht stuff definitely is a good kind of like, it brings all the families together. So, Dragon, in that way, it does, the whole film does, I want to emphasize, it is a very strong part one in the sense of, like, unlike something like, say, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows part one or something like that, it doesn't necessarily feel like setup. It does feel like a narrative.
It does, and the big running through line being, Bruce Wayne is linked to Carmine Falcone because of his parents.
Right, exactly, yeah. And so this being the climax, I think, was a great choice.
Yeah, and I love just tethering him in the darkness, which of course foreshadows, the whole Harvey Dent thing, where he's going to be tethered to darkness the way he is, Two-Face, as he usually is once that happens. And it's really great. Like, as he's just trying to see how he feels about that, he's dealing with all this stuff, trying to stop Falcone, and this is where he's kind of taking the moment to kind of figure out. Again, I love that as we get in the New Year's, after yet another murder has happened, okay, so Batman, he has to be a detective for our third act, and we think it's going to go well. But it doesn't. he lays out his suspects, and he's just very logically, okay, Falcone, well, why would he kill his own bodyguard? Maroni, well, he's not really the theatrical type. Carla Vitti, why would she kill her own son in the bathtub? Why? The Joker, well, the Joker was free at the time. And then, of course, there's, again, we're building the, assumedly, Harvey Dent with a big silhouette and says, well, he flunked the psych eval and he couldn't get a gun. So that implies, like, yeah, there's something off with Harvey Dent, but he cannot bring himself to think that way. Like, no. Harvey goes, there's our hope.
Yeah.
I just love the sweet punctuation we had too before the events unfold with Alfred. Just give him like the ultimate pep talk, as Alfred was wont to do. That Batman's going to be whatever Gotham needs him to be. You know, he's just confident that I've seen these growing pains before. I saw you go through this in the whole year one thing. You'll be fine. Okay, just do what you need to do. Be a detective. If they like the fact that Batman never foresaw this, he just saw himself again like the old line. He sees himself striking fear into the hearts of the superstitious and cowardly. Not being a detective, that wasn't in the job description, but he has to.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. So our big kind of the big action sequence before we get kind of the Alberto of it all is Gotham Square. Joker's pulling kind of an '89 meets Mask of the Phantasm. He has like this biplane full of laughing gas. He has no idea how to fly, which is hilarious. And just the great idea of like he's got a 50-50 shot of killing Holiday because everyone's in Gotham Square. They're either there or it's not. It's teeing up the duality of Two-Face with the 50-50. It's cool, but let me tell you what I really dug about this, Tiki.
Okay.
Batman's Eureka moment by proxy of the Joker. I thought that was not in the book. That was an add-on here, and I thought it was a really great way of like subtle. This is not a Batman Joker story at all, but I love that we kind of infuse like a great in the Batman's early years. Like, yeah, they are kind of joined at the hip, whether he likes it or not, and the realization here that me, I love a good puzzle, which reminds him, oh my God, Alberto's whole thing is about puzzles. He's a smart guy. He's got a grudge against his father. There's your link with everything. And just the idea that Joker helps Batman become a detective, which is kind of what the whole crux of part one's about here. But also knowing that Alberto is not the guy, Joker is also tremendously screwed Batman over majorly here. So I love that idea.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the whole thing of it's good. It's good for sure.
All right, so let Tika have. What was your reaction to Alberto's fate?
You're asking me for reactions, man. I don't know. I already read the comic book. I already kind of knew he was a goner.
Well, no, he wasn't a goner, Tiki. He wasn't killed in the book.
I don't know, man.
Right. Yeah, well, I love that. Basically, killing Alberto was a big subversion, like a Last Jedi subversion, which I really
was. Okay.
Yeah, seriously, it was a big subversion.
I'm sorry, man. It's been a while since I've read the book.
No. That's fine. I'm just getting your reaction that we killed Alberto, just in general. But that's what I'm saying. I love that.
I honestly don't remember having much of a reaction when I was reading. Because honestly, when I was watching the movie, I was kind of just like, oh well, he's definitely good. Like I said, Dragon, once we got to the flowers bit, I was like, oh well, I would fucking shoot him for that. So once he died, I was like, oh well, okay then. The guy who was doing shit that would get him killed died. All right, that's honestly my reaction, Dragon. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, guys. I love that. Like, just we had that insult to injury before Alberto, which made you feel a little bit of sympathy for him. Where it's like the son that I never had, Bruce Wayne. It's like, oh, poor Alberto. He just can't catch a break. He's got like a near Luke and Leia moment with Selina, and there's like there's a whole thing there. We have. This is the fact that this scene just kind of like takes a few right turns. Like Selina outs Batman as Bruce Wayne to Alberto Falcone, which kind of, I should have suspected spells his doom, which I didn't put together. I feel stupid for that, but yeah. So in the book, the whole thing is like he fakes his death, but we very clearly witness him though. He's shot and then he falls into a propeller blade. That guy did not fake his death. There's no coming back, which means we have no idea who the Holiday Killer is going to be in this movie now. So that's what's exciting about it. Just again, like, and there's a really interesting clue that we have for the next part. In Alberto's last moment, where he says he was in love with a woman, and Carmine chased her off, and just the Alberto he figured out who the holiday killer was before he died, but we don't know who it is. That's what I'm saying. That was the kind of the exciting. Oh my God, what the heck is going to happen now? And we have our full circle kind of rooftop scene with the alley scene. Where Batman, and again, it's love hitting like the personal note in all this, where Batman blames himself. Alberto was innocent, and he showed up there. He was supposed to save him, but instead he got him killed because he got it wrong, because he's not there yet as a detective. And we're just kind of left in kind of the end of part one. You're like, well, we have no idea who the holiday killer is, and we don't know who's next. And now, so dementedly, we have to protect the Falcone family. We're completely on the other end of this. We haven't progressed at all in 4 months. This is not good.
Yeah, it's pretty good, sure.
We got our
Dragon, I'm sorry, man. I feel like I'm dropping the ball just because honest to God, I really didn't have that strong of a reaction to the end of the movie, and you're like putting all these pieces together that I didn't really think of, and like honestly, there's a lot of implications there. You're obviously a lot more familiar with the book as well, so you probably had a way bigger reaction to. So I'm sorry, man. It's not that I'm disinterested in the movie itself. It's just that you're just like digging way deeper into it than I am. So I feel like I'm really kind of dropping the ball in covering this at the end here. So that's my bad.
Well, okay, let me ask you this. So we have the post-credit scene, which is teeing up things. What do you think of what do you think, and just generally, what are you kind of expecting for part two?
Well, I mean, for part two, like honestly, what I'm hoping for is I'm really hoping for kind of like Big Bad Harv to be like maybe the main antagonist, with the actual Two-Face coming into play around Act 3 of the movie. Like, I really want to build up to Two-Face, Dragon. I really want to just psychologically just get in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and Tiki, that's the really interesting thing, is if I recall, and I could be wrong, is what I did is, so it's been a while since I know the Long Halloween, but it's been a while since I haven't reread. All I did is I reread the parts that were adapted in this movie just to check it afterwards, just to see what changed. Now, what's interesting is, what's the sorry, I'm blanking here. All right, what's interesting, if I recall, so Big Bad Harv, I don't think was ever addressed in Long Halloween. It was just straight Harvey Dent, who then gets deformed. So the fact that we're doing like a huge animated series, in general, like the whole dichotomy of Harvey Dent, the personality of Two-Face, going that route with it, I want to say is something that we're kind of bringing in the movie, which seems really interesting. The fact that we built it up in part one, I think, and just from what I've seen, like in teases and glimpses, is what we're really leaning into in part two. So I think you're going to be really happy with it, just based on what I've seen, just, on the outskirts. It looks really interesting. We're going to lean into that.
All right, cool.
And the last, the post-credit teases up Poison Ivy's introduction.
Yeah. Now was that a diversion, Drake? I really should have read the book before watching this, man. I really should have.
Well, I mean, still though, it's a fresh experience. Though. I mean, you're still captivated by it as a mission.
I am. I'm just like I'm asking questions like, oh wait, was Poison Ivy in the book, instead of being like, ooh, it's Poison Ivy,
Yeah, she was in the book.
I feel like that's diluting my experience just a little bit.
Yeah, I don't remember if she was introduced to him at a funeral, but she is our transition point into Valentine's Day, which is where the next one's presumably going to start off. And what I find interesting is that in this movie, Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle, they parted ways, but obviously Batman and Catwoman will be in each other's lives, as they've kind of acknowledged on that boat scene. Now I think it's interesting that we split them up to put them through their paces for Valentine's Day, which could be really interesting. Like, maybe we can work together here, because she's going to need to save Bruce Wayne, which is kind of how that story goes. Again, I'm not refreshed on it, so I don't know how exactly how Bruce Wayne's going to get out of this pickle that he's in, but I know it's not going to be good for him. So, let me ask this. Do you have theories? Because now it's anyone's game. Anyone could be the holiday.
Dragon, I'm sorry, man. I'm not thinking this deep into it, bro. I'm sorry. You're thinking circles ahead of me, man. I just liked it as a movie. I'm not like, okay, now let's Gilda, I guess, is still my main theory.
I mean, Tiki, I would say that, but the interesting thing is that every time you look at this, the silhouette of the holiday killer, it's a man, which makes me really interested. Like, oh my god.
Okay, then I don't know, Dragon. I just genuinely don't.
I mean, it's okay not to know. I'm just
this whole conversation makes me feel less intellectual as a Batman fan. I gotta say.
God. Okay, here's something just kind of not. Here's something not as wheel turning. Okay, let's think of the Batman Returns Penguin design that they had teased up in Arkham. It's kind of cool, right?
It looks fun. It looks, you know what? Honestly, I gotta be honest with you. It looks a little bit like Tony Goldmark.
Well, I mean that's because he generally looks like that penguin.
Yeah, generally Tony Goldmark does have a penguin-esque appearance, and this is no different.
Yeah, but that thing, Penguin has like a small role in that story, so teasing up that Penguin, and I just wonder if we're gonna have him in like that's the thing. Let me kind of lay this out just in general generally for part two. So, because the big fear I have.
Wait, hold on. What are you gonna lay out?
I'm just gonna lay out just my fear for part two.
Okay.
Very simply, is that we've covered 4 months out of 12 of our story. Between part one and part two, and I think smart money is
So you're thinking we're gonna cram a lot of stuff in?
We have 85 minutes. Assumedly, I'm hoping they give more than 85 minutes.
How many holidays do we have left, though?
I told you 8 holidays left.
8? Oh Jesus! Oh.
See, that is my concern. Now, what I'm convinced is that we're going to.
That's a bad omen. I don't like that.
Thing. But again, the way they're teasing it up, though, is that. It seems like it seems like they're going to do all the holidays somehow, and that it's
montage perhaps.
I mean, maybe. I mean, if they did some of it like the credits, but by the same token,
that's what I'm thinking. Like maybe blow past a few of them in the opening credits.
I mean, Tiki, I would say that, but you have to explain Poison Ivy, though. You can't just that's a big hanging chad. I know that's. I'll tell you one thing. I'm convinced they're going to strip out some of the characters. Like, I don't think Riddler's going to be in the story. I don't think that's a problem, though, because I'm going to tell you this. I think it's going to be a big mistake. I'm going to tell you one thing. If this one person is the holiday killer, you're going to have a lot of people upset. It cannot be the Riddler.
Oh, God, I hope not.
It must not be the Riddler, because that's been a reveal. It's been done in some other Batman stories. It's like a mastermind thing. You do not want that, especially in animation, for reasons I don't want to explain to you here. Just trust me. Just if it's the Riddler, just be prepared for like, oh God, people aren't going to be happy about this. All right. So wait, let's round it out, Tiki. Final thoughts.
Yeah, final thoughts. I mean, I'm sorry, Dragon. That little story that I told you at the beginning, the whole like, oh, this is a movie. Dragon, that's about as deep as my feelings go on this. All right, I'm sorry. That's not to say I didn't really like it. I did really like it, obviously. I think that it's got. I genuinely think it's one of the best. I genuinely think it's one of the best of these DC animated movies. Definitely one of the most theatrical, not just in terms of animation, but also in terms of just the pacing and just the direction and the beats. Like it all feels very epic in scale, Dragon. It feels like a crime epic, and I really do wish that we would have gotten like the whole thing in one 3-hour movie. And I really hope that both of the films play together so I can watch it like that. But I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, while my wheels are definitely not turning as much as yours are, and I apologize for that, I damn liked it. It was a damn swell picture.
That's good to hear. All right, so final out to me, I really love this. Real question is, can they deliver with part 2? Because honestly, Long Island could very easily be a 3-part story, just given their usual runtime. Okay, that's
very true.
I want part 2 to be as long as possible because there's a lot of.
What if they did just do a 3-parter? Like at the end of part 2, it's just like, hey, guess what, kids? There's a part 3.
I mean, Tiki, I would be all for it, but no one is prepared for that.
I think if any book deserves a trilogy, it's this book.
I mean, I agree. Well, wait, do you mean you mean this as a movie? Because I mean, if you mean as a trilogy, it's already kind of having it. Well, sorry, it's like a follow-up.
Right, you're overthinking it. I'm saying if they make a part 3, then that will technically be a Long Halloween trilogy, as in it's 3 movies.
Right. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So So this is again 4 months out of 12, 8 left. The movie's probably gonna be 85 minutes or less. I'm concerned. But from the looks of the sneak peek, we're doing everything, which, I mean, I was worried that we're going to cut out some holidays, which would be a big mistake. Look, they want to do it in a montage, by all means, but I don't know if you can do a montage at the opening credits like we did this one. I don't know how that's going to play. But, look, we could, again, I think things get dicey editing to fit things in. We're teasing up some really impressive stuff, particularly with the Two-Face of it all. It's a great mystery. It's a great introduction to a Batman story as an adaptation. Again, a lot of people I could imagine coming into this, looking for I want to get this Batman story, but I want to see it kind of in motion. I think this would be a good place to start. I mean, based on part one, I think is what you want to with a go-to classic like Long Halloween. A lot of people, again, everyone's like, what are the Batman stories I should read? Well, there's Year One, Dark Knight Returns, and Long Halloween, and maybe Killing Joke. So they get those four. Okay, I think this would be a good representation of that go-to recommendation. It's the kind of stuff I want from Batman animation. This show's DC animation is learning from their past adaptations and making them better. I'm very pleased with this. It makes me feel like reading Long Halloween all over. It makes me feel like I'm reading Long Halloween all over again for the first time. It's a great experience. It's really fun.
All right, Dragon, give this a clever line to go out on. I'm all out of cleverness tonight.
And I'm talking to myself.